All right, welcome. Okay, so for all of the mini minds that I do in my world, they are a little bit of a combination of me training plus you guys all getting an opportunity to ask questions, get feedback, all of that good stuff that you need for your business. So the way that it'll work is we'll start off and I'll kind of riff on a particular topic and subject, and then I'll open up the floor for you guys to jump into some hot seat coaching with me. And so that's kind of the format that these calls will always work with. So first off, so in the chat, what I brought up that I really want for us to focus on this week, especially is, I just noticed that my message to Christine never sent. Let me type her message up real quick. Okay. All right. So what I brought up in the chat that I wanted us to really focus on, especially this week, is branding, because your brand is really going to be the foundation for your business. And it's really going to be the foundation for your business forever. And that's really the key piece. Once you have your brand established, it really makes everything else within your business feel so much more clear, so much more confident, so much more certainty. All of the things seem to find its place once you understand and have a really solidified brand. So that's what I really wanted us to focus on. And I know a lot of times people kind of use brand and niche interchangeably, and I don't see it that way. I see your brand and your niche as being two different things. So your brand is essentially who you are. It's what you stand for. It's what you represent. It's all about you. Your brand is about you, whereas your niche is about your person. So brand is all about you, who you are, what you're going to show up and share, what you're going to show up and do. And whereas niche is all about the other person that you're attracting into your world. So when it comes to establishing your brand, you want to think about all of the things that encompass and make up who you are and what you're going to share. And once you know your brand, you can fit multiple different things into your brand that are going to click and work with the overall theme that you have going. So another way you can think of a brand is kind of just being like your overall theme for your business, right? It's like the overarching thing. Like when people think of you, what do they think of? So when I think of, like, I use this example all the time, whether you love them or hate them, the Kardashian Jenners, like they have such solid brands. And when you think of them, you think like beauty, you think like they have built these brands where they have different businesses, right? Like there's makeup, there's skincare, there's like clothes, there's body shaping stuff, there's hair, like they have all of these different businesses, but it's all because those businesses fit inside of their brand that they have built for themselves. So when you have a solid brand that people can remember, this is what this person is all about. This person is all about this thing. Then that allows you to then be able to stretch yourself into multiple places and do different things, but it all makes sense because it all fits under that one theme, right? So when it comes to me and like my brand is really based around like soul, like following your soul empowerment, soul alignment. All of those things really fit inside of the brand of what it is that I do. And so anything that I'm going to add into my brand is going to be connected and related to that. And here's the thing that makes it so much more simple is you can really put anything inside of your brand as long as you know how to market it in a way that is going to connect with your brand, right? So I right now am mostly focused on coaching and mentorship. But let's say I wanted to add something else. Let's say I wanted to really go all the way in back again with like clothes. I could fit that into my brand by bringing up clothing from a space of being like, when I put these clothes on my body, it makes me feel so empowered. I feel like I'm able to step inside of my next level boss self. Like I feel very confident when I wear this, because that is how I would phrase it, how I would share the message of what it is that I'm talking about. It would be related and connected to my overall brand, which is about, like soul connection, soul empowerment, alignment, confidence. All of those things kind of fit inside of the brand of, who Tiffany Wynn is. And that's going to make sense to people when I bring in and I say, hey, I have this other thing that I'm really excited to share with you guys. When I bring it up from that space, it's not going to feel weird or awkward to people. It's going to be like, wow, that really makes sense for her to do that because of the way that you position it. It's all about the way you position the things and the way that it falls into your brand and the way that it's going to make sense for your brand. So it's really all down to the messaging that comes from each one of the different spaces within your brand. So to break into some hot seat coaching, I know Caitlin, you like your brand is really around like confidence, and you have makeup, nails, and coaching, right?
Yeah.
The things that you do. Perfect. Okay. So when it comes to looking at that, I would say like if your brand is going to be based around confidence, then when it comes to sharing about the nails, when it comes to sharing about the makeup, those all like the messaging and the way you present those things need to come from a space of showing women that confidence piece. So when it comes to sharing the makeup, you're going to talk about it from a space of, you guys, oh my gosh, I used to not wear makeup because I did not know what I was doing. And I would feel like a clown every time I put makeup on. I would be so embarrassed and so ashamed. Like, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I found this really simple makeup that I am able to do so easily. And I feel so good when I put it on. It is so simple and easy for me to do. I feel absolutely amazing with it. It's not heavy and cakey like all the makeup that I used to wear that, I used to feel like I was wearing like a pound of makeup. So do you see how like when I present it that way and the way I'm talking about it, it's connecting to your brand of confidence. And so if you can present the makeup from a space of showing women, when I wear this makeup, it makes me feel confident. When you put this makeup on, you're going to feel confident. And here's why. Here's all the reasons that this is going to help your confidence. One, it's easy to use. Two, it's, X, Y, and Z. So what I would do is look at all of the different branches of your brand. So you have the nails, you have the makeup, you have the coaching. And then I would look at what are all the different ways you can bring confidence into that thing, right? So when it comes to nails, you can bring in and talk about how you used to walk around with stubby little fingers and you would always feel like you had to keep your hands in your pockets, right? Like I'm making stuff up here, but like just giving examples of what that might sound like when you're talking about that. You're going to talk about it from a space of being like, I used to like not go get my nails done because I was so embarrassed by my nails. They're all stubby little like nubs. And I wouldn't even want to go to the nail salon to show them my nails because they were so weird looking. But I found these amazing nails that you can pop on and it makes it look like you got a $100 manicure at like a top salon. They're so easy to use. And so you see how like if I talk about it like that, it's connecting back to the overall brand of confidence. Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the time where like the brand messaging gets lost when you have multiple things is really how do I talk about all of these things at the same time? And really you don't have to talk about them all at the same time. But but you can when you kind of just touch on each little thing one at a time, right? So like, let's say you go on your stories and you're talking about your coaching and mentorship. and you have your nails and you're talking, like if you're like me, you talk with your hands. So you're showing your nails while you're doing it. And so then after you finish that, talking about your coaching and you're like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm super excited. I'm going to be taking on, 2 women this upcoming month to mentor them. It's going to be amazing. You're going to absolutely love it. Blah, blah, blah. Here's all the details. Shoot me a message if you're interested. The next slide then can be like, oh my gosh, did y'all even notice my nails in that last, when I was talking? I didn't even realize how much I talk with my hands, but I want to show you all these nails that I just popped on. They're Halloween themed. They're super cute. Here's a link where you can snag them, kind of a thing, right? And so it's like you let it all flow together, and it doesn't have to feel very like weird when you're talking from one thing to another. You find ways to kind of immerse them all together, right? Or so like you're doing your makeup while you're talking, like you go live and you're putting on your makeup while you're talking about your coaching. And so you're like, hey guys, I want to pop on and show you guys, talk to you guys about my new coaching opportunity. It's this and that. And like, I'm doing my makeup with this makeup. It's absolutely incredible. I do that all the time. And I don't even I use Saint 2. One of my best friends sells it. I use it and I don't even sell it. But if I sometimes I'll get online and I'm like talking while I'm doing my makeup and people are like, oh, what is that? What makeup are you using? Right. And I don't even sell it. Right. And so if you just make it just very organic and you make it feel like it's all a part of it's all working together. Right. I'm getting on here and I'm talking about my coaching while I'm doing my makeup, or I'm using my hands. I'm going to show you my nails. I'm doing this. I'm going to show, I'm doing my makeup. I'm going to tell you about my nails. I'm going to show you my nails while I'm using this brush, right? So it can all fit together without it feeling like it's all, 3 separate things happening in your world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any questions or anything that you feel like you need support more with, or that you're struggling with, or anything like that?
No, that's got me really thinking now, because like you were saying, that just feels so much more organic. It's not salesy, because that's exactly when I'm watching other people, I'm paying attention to their nails. I'm paying attention to what they're doing.
Exactly. Yes. And so it all fits together, and it doesn't have to feel like you're doing 3 separate things, because you're one person, right? You're you're one person who wears makeup, who has nails, and who also is a coach, right? And so it all fits under the brand of who Caitlin is and what Caitlin does. And so it all just gets to work together, right? Sometimes I might pop on and show my outfit of the day and be like, you guys, I'm about to go do a shoot with my husband. We're going to be doing some really cute photos for my next upcoming branding or whatever. And I just want to show you all my outfit, these jeans, this top, whatever. And I'll share the link, right? And so it doesn't have to feel super weird. And then every now and then, if you're building and growing a team, then you bring that in too, right? And so every now and then, maybe on payday, you talk about that opportunity or you bring it up. It just doesn't have to feel like this rigid, robot type feel of okay, and now I post about this business and now I post about that business, right? It can all kind of work together.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and and I would do that too on your feed. So I don't necessarily sell on my feed. I might direct people to a space where they can get more information about what it is that I'm doing, but I don't necessarily sell on my feed. And I don't really find that you do that either. But what you might do is you might, I wouldn't ever just post a picture of nails and a stock photo or anything like that on your actual feed. But if you're posting a picture and you notice your nails are standing out or your makeup's really on point or something like that, then you can bring that up in the caption and say check out my story highlight, that my Saint story highlight for more info on my makeup look or whatever. And so you're setting yourself up where you're having different spaces to tell people, here's where you go for more info on this, right? So create story highlights that are all about the makeup, create story highlights that are all about the nails, create a story highlight that's all about your coaching. So when you do have, when you are posting on your feed, you can still bring those things up without it being really salesy and like a stock photo of nails and being like, oh, here's these nails that you can buy. It can be like, and check out my nails. I'm so obsessed with them. Like just at the end of the caption, it's just like, do you guys notice my nails? I'm so obsessed with them. If you want more info on how to snag some like this, go check out my, my nails story highlight or whatever. And so it just gets to kind of flow all together, and it doesn't have to feel like you need to be posting about all of these things. So you lead with the confidence, and then everything else just kind of fits inside of that puzzle of confidence.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
It's like you have this big puzzle. The puzzle is you, and the puzzle is your brand and your business. And then you have these puzzle pieces, and they all fit together. And so they all work together, right? Like you need every puzzle piece to make the brand. And when you're missing one, then it feels like off kiltered. So you can still have them all, and they still all can work together, and you still can build all the businesses. You still can grow the teams and all of those things. It's just finding the way to fit it all under the confidence puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And each one of those pieces makes one of the, like, puts the puzzle together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So when it comes to your brand, you really can make this work in any platform, right? So whether it is Instagram or Facebook or, I know like a podcast or whatever it is that you want to focus on, you really like your brand is going to carry with you throughout the whole thing. And that's why I think having a solid brand is important, because people are going to find you in one spot and a lot of the time follow you into other spaces, right? So a lot of people find me on my podcast and they come follow me on Instagram. And I don't want to give them one version of me in this space and then a totally different version of me in this other space. And they're like, that's not who I felt like I connected with on the podcast, right? And so that's why having a brand is really awesome, is because when you lead with that, then people know they're going to get that from you no matter where they connect with you, whether it is on your, if you have a Facebook group or if you have a podcast or if you have an Instagram. Leading with that brand of confidence in, whatever it is that you're going to really tie into your brand, it's going to allow people to really feel like they're getting that from you in all the spaces. And so now when it comes to like your content and the content you're creating, you always are going to lead with confidence. And then whatever it is that you're talking about, whether it is your coaching, the nails, the makeup, whatever it is, gets to be the secondary piece of that, right? And so if you're thinking like, okay, I'm going to talk about, the nails today. How can I connect the nails to confidence? Okay, I'm going to talk about the makeup today. How can I connect the makeup to confidence? I'm going to talk about my coaching today. How can I connect that to, confidence, right? So it's like always drawing the line back to that center, which is confidence, right? So like everything is going to be drawn back to that space. And so I think that's why I say like brand and niche are different, because you have your brand, but your niche can be different. So if you're talking about confidence, are you going to be talking about confidence to, women who are, single, so like single women? Or are you going to be talking about confidence to, women who are busy, like working women? Are you going to talk about confidence to women who are divorced, or so it's just that's the difference between the brand and the niche. The brand is you and who you are, and the niche is who you're talking to. So once you connect those two together and you know what your brand is, what your niche is and who you're talking to, it's like the magic wand ignites. And it's like, whoa, okay, now I have all the content ideas. I know how exactly to say it. I know how I'm going to talk to these people, and it makes your content that much more potent, because then you're really attracting people from a space where people really get to know you deeply, because they're like, I know this is what I'm going to get when I come into her world. She's always going to be consistent in giving me this thing. I know when I go to Caitlin's page, she's always going to give me that boost of confidence. I know when I go to her page, she's always going to help me feel X, Y, and Z, right? And so it's like they get that every single time they come to your page, and they know and they expect that out of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Do you have any questions now or anything coming up for you?
No, I have ideas and like a lot
Good.
of stuff's coming, but I think it all makes sense. I think just the way that you explain it is like I just need to think of it that way versus, things I've been taught before. And I think that just like opens up so much.
Yeah, it literally like the light bulbs go off when you start thinking of it that way, and it makes it so much more clear. And I always say that clarity is what drives like your momentum. And when you're like feeling confused about things, and when you're not sure, and when there's like fogginess or anything, then it's hard to really feel like the momentum because you feel stuck and you're like, I don't know which way to go. Once you feel really clear and you're like, wow, I understand how to show up now, then it's just like things take off. You have like content on content on content because you're like, oh my gosh, this is how I'm going to create. This is what I'm going to create. I know what I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to do it. And it allows you to just really take off, and the momentum just blows up from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So what I would suggest you do, and for anyone else who ends up watching the replay, what I would suggest you do is look at what are the key components of your business, right? So I know these things might change and these things might pivot, right? So like maybe you're going to add something else down the line, or you're going to, not do something that you're currently doing right now. And so that's why having a brand is so powerful, because your brand can move with you through those different stages, right? And that's why that's why we call it a personal brand, right? Because you're always going to be you. And when you lead with you rather than leading with, like, let's say, for example, I was like known as Tiffany, like the health and fitness girl. Like I'm no longer in the health and fitness space. And so if that's what I led with, and I led with like, oh, I'm only going to talk about healthy living, and I'm only going to talk about, this thing, then if I pivot, then it's very like rigid to people. And they're like, wait, she was talking about health and fitness, and now she's talking about this. It's very weird. But when I lead with me, and I'm like, this is who I am, and this is what I stand for. This is what I represent. I represent women feeling, confident in who they are, showing up, being sold out, like completely, fully themselves, empowered by their own essence, like that kind of thing. If I show up and say that, I can do that in health and fitness. I can do that in makeup. I could do that in skincare. I could do that in clothes. I could do that in whatever it is that can follow me in all the different spaces. And so that's why I say, like, when you build the personal brand, look at what your core values are. And for some people, that might be health, and that might be wellness, but that's not what I value, right? So some people, your brand might be based on health and wellness. If that's something that you really value, that's something you really stand for and you really represent, then that could be your brand. But for me, that's not really something that I was like super passionate about. And it wasn't something that I knew I was going to desire to be talking about 10 years from now. But I know when I look at who Tiffany Wynn is and what I stand for and what I value and what I represent, I know 10 years from now, I'm still going to be talking about following your soul, making sure that, you're doing things from a soul line space. I know I'm still going to be talking about those kinds of things, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm talking about it as a coach, or maybe I'm going to start a nonprofit, or maybe I'm going to start a whatever it is, it's still going to all represent Tiffany Wynn and what my core values are, right? Does that make sense? So that's like when it comes to your brand, looking at that, and then looking at right now, what are the key pieces of your brand, right? So like it is like hair care, makeup, skincare, like whatever your different parts of your business are. And then from there, look at what are the ways you can connect the dots back to your brand, right? So I have my makeup. How can I connect the dots back to my brand? Like, and then just list out all the ways. So you could talk about the makeup and confidence being, women with skin conditions, or women who've never worn makeup before, but are, wanting to try it for the first time. It could be women who feel like they're not good at putting makeup on by themselves, or women who are, feel like they don't have time for makeup. They're too busy, right? And so like, then you get the content ideas from that, right? So if you're talking about women who feel like they can't put on makeup because they're too busy, then you get to like create the content that says, I just did this full face in 5 minutes because this makeup is so easy to use. I just slapped it on and it was so fast. And I feel freaking incredible to go to my meeting or whatever it is that you're doing. Right. And so that is like a piece of content, right? So if you talk about the makeup and you compare it and you're connecting the dot back to women who've never worn makeup before and they are nervous about trying makeup, right, for the first time. It's just like, I remember the first time I started wearing makeup and I was using the crappiest stuff and I looked ridiculous. You could even do like a side by side of like past former makeup and current makeup. And you could say like, I wish I would have known about this makeup when I first started wearing makeup, because it would have saved me so many years of looking ridiculous. Like this makeup is amazing. It is so easy to use. If you've never worn makeup before, this is the makeup you want to start with, rather than having the makeup where you have 6 different things and you don't know what goes where. This is like makeup for like paint by numbers makeup. It's so simple to use, right? And so it all connects back to the confidence, but you have all the different talking points that are going to connect it back to the confidence, right? And so it always comes down to, how can I say this, connect it to the confidence? How can I talk about these nails and connect it to the confidence? I can talk about how, if you have stubby fingers, I could talk about how if you're not like, if you can't afford to go to the nail salon every 2 weeks, like I changed my nails out and every week and I don't feel bad because it's only X amount of dollars or whatever it is. I get to, create fancy looks that usually would cost hundreds of dollars and I get it for a fraction of the price, right? Like, and so it's all connecting back to that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's where I would start, is listing out all of those things and then listing out the ways that you can, those talking points for each one of those things. And then you just start creating content based on that. And that could be content on your stories. It can be content on your feed. If it's going to be content on your feed, just make sure it's not like light bulb sells. It's just kind of like, I just got my nails done. I'm feeling so incredible. It's date night tonight. Like, can't wait to go, hang out and, feel freaking amazing while I'm doing it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so, and then you're saying like, if you want more info on these nails, check out my story highlight or check out my stories I just talked about and check out the link in my bio, that kind of a thing. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, so that is brand. And then when it comes to niche, you're just going to look at who it is that you want to talk to. And I know a lot of times people feel like they don't really know how to niche down. And I think when you have a really solid brand, the niche doesn't need to be as like narrowed in, right? So I think when you have a solid brand, your people will find you automatically and you won't have to niche down super, super narrow. I know a lot of times people are like, you need to know like her name and her, like, who is she and her birthday and where does she live and what does she do for fun? And like all of those things. In my opinion, if you have a solid brand, you're going to attract people who are attracted to your brand, right? It doesn't matter if she's 25 or if she's 45. Like if she is attracted to you and the energy you put out and what you talk about and like the theme of your brand, confidence, like whatever it is that you have, she's going to want to, hang out with you anyways. Like it doesn't matter, like those kinds of things. But what I would look at is there something about her that you need to bring up in your content, right? So do you know your person is like maybe at a crossroads in her life where she's going through something and she really needs someone to really help her find her magic, right? Like, is that who you're talking to, right? So when you think of it that way, rather than being like, oh, my niche person is Susan and she's from New York and she's 35 and she has 3 kids and she works at the bank and she bought like when you get that specific, then it's like very difficult to really show up like fully in your essence, because you're trying to now only talk to Susan who works at the bank and has 3 kids, right? But whereas if you're like, I just know my person, my niche is the girl who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. That could be it. that could be your person. That could be the niche. Your niche can be women who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right. And so then everything that you talk about when you bring up in that content, you're talking to her from a space of being like, I know that you are so tired of dealing with, all the drama of life. And I know that you want something better. You want something bigger for yourself. And so that always kind of becomes like the thread that pieces it all together.
Yeah.
And so like it could be that, or maybe it's just that your niche is connecting women. Maybe it's like women who are overcoming something, or women who are at a certain stage in life. Maybe it's women who are, empty nesters, or women who, never been married or don't have kids or have kids or whatever it is. Like it doesn't have to be like super, super narrowed. It can be something where it's just like, I just know this is who my person is. She's someone who X, Y, and Z, right? So like when I think about like my niche and my business, I know my person is someone who wants to build a business and they want to make money, but more than anything, she wants to feel freaking good while she's making the money. She doesn't want to hustle. She doesn't want to burn herself out. She doesn't want to work herself into the ground. She wants to build her business from a space that feels really freaking good, right? That's my niche. So when I'm talking to people in my content, I'm bringing that kind of stuff up. Like, yes, you're going to make money and I want to help you make money, but I want to help you do it not by, burning yourself down in the process, right? And so like, that's my niche. It's not necessarily like, oh, my person is 25 to 45 and she has brown hair and blue eyes and she, XYZ, right? Like it's not nothing crazy like that. It's just like, I know that's who I'm talking to. It's the person who really values that. Right. Yeah. And so, and I can see that from the people that I attract into my world. It is the people who want that, right? It is the people who are like, I've done the hustle thing before and I can't do it like that anymore. I want to do it better. Show me how to do it better. Right. And so it's like, that's the message that I put out in my content to attract that kind of person into my world.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And so go ahead.
I would say, and then you kind of use like, so for example, like you use the products that you sell. So if it was like nails, whatever, you use that to like help those women, right? So like They do go together.
Exactly right. And so like if your person is someone who like who's struggling with feeling confident, like your person might be someone who's struggling with feeling confident, or someone who has experienced like a lack of self-belief, or a lack of like personal empowerment, or however you want to look at her and what she's gone through. Then when you're creating your content and you're talking about the nails, you kind of bring that thread in and you're like, I didn't realize how much a set of nails could make me feel so good. When I put these nails on, it just elevates how good I feel about myself, because I feel so feminine. I feel so like special. I feel like very like I am taking care of myself. And I didn't even realize how much, like, I know it's just nails, but it's really so much more than that, because every time I look down at them, I just feel so good about myself. Right. And so like that becomes the thing. And she's like listening to you say this, and she's like, man, I don't get my nails done. I probably should, because maybe that will make me feel more confident. Maybe that will help me to feel like I'm doing something for myself, right? And so like It becomes kind of how you talk about it becomes the way that people receive it, right? And so that's why I always say like you can't like just get away with posting graphics on social media anymore. Like you have to speak it out, and I don't necessarily mean like you have to be on like facing the camera all the time, but even like the posts where I like write out, like I just write from my heart, and I just write out these long posts talking about different things, like that could be part of it. Like post a picture like of your nails and you write out like, I never imagined that a set of nails would, be this powerful for me. And it's really elevated my confidence and how I feel about myself when I feel like I'm taking care of myself. Right. And so like that gets to be like a part of the overall brand message that pulls everything together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really, I mean, I know that the other people in this group have different things, but I think for me, that's one thing I'm really trying to do with the confidence piece is like help women realize that it's not so it is attainable. Like you have these things in you and you just need to bring them out. And like if that's because you feel good with your nails done, like that is a great way to do it. And
Yes.
then you build on that. And I think because I think we hear confidence and it's like, how am I ever going to obtain that?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's partly why I like the products because they make me feel good. And so I need
Yes.
to think of like how to say that to them.
Yeah, exactly. Say exactly like what you're like, why do you use them? Like, right. And like you say that, like, in that becomes the message. And so it's not just like, oh, these nails are cute, you should buy them. It becomes something deeper to people and they understand now why they would buy them versus just
Yeah.
like, oh, right. And it's not just like, and that's why people are going to come to you versus being like, oh, I'll just go find something similar on Amazon. Let me go look and see if they have something like this on Amazon. They're going to buy it from you because they're going to be like, wow, she really helped me understand why. And I definitely want to buy these from her, right? That's what's going to make people come back and want to keep coming back to you is because it's not just because, oh, she has cute nails. It's because like, wow, she's really helped me and, feel more confident, feel more empowered, feel more this or that. And that's what connects it all together.
Yeah, love that.
Yes. And so that's how like it just all gets to flow and it all gets to work together. And so now all your content, all your messaging, everything gets to come back to that one space. And it allows you to really create your content and it all flows. And so when people find you on social media now and they go and they like binge your content, it all clicks and makes sense for them. And that's what's going to make them be like, ooh, follow. I really like, everything she's saying. But when content is like, here one day, here the next day, here talk about this one day, talk about this the next day, then it feels very like, why would I follow this person? She's all over the place. But when it feels like there's an overall thread that people can really connect with, that's what brings people and it keeps them coming back and makes them want more. It makes them want to stick around. And that too is going to also help the algorithm because if the algorithm can figure out what it is that you're talking about, it's going to push your content in front of the right people more often, right? So I know a lot of times we like to think that the algorithm is like big, mean, bad, scary thing, but really the algorithm's job is to keep people on the app for as long as possible. And so the algorithm wants your content to be seen. It's not intentionally hiding your content. The algorithm wants your content to be seen. It just needs to understand what your content is. So if you can create content that has the same overall theme, then the algorithm picks up on that and they're like, oh, she's always talking about confidence, or oh, she's always talking about this thing. And so then it starts to push your content in front of people who are engaging with content that is about confidence, right? So like if you go look at your explore page, you're going to see what the algorithm has picked up that it is that you like. Like if you go to my explore page on Instagram, you're going to see houses, you're going to see stuff about like reality TV, you're going to see like Real Housewives, all that kind of stuff, and you're going to see business stuff, right? Like, because that's like the main 3 types of content that I engage with. And so the algorithm's like, let me show you some of the stuff that we know you're going to like because we want you to get lost in this app and never click off. But if the algorithm can't figure out what it is that you're talking about, then it's like, I don't really know who to show her content to. I don't know who's going to like this. So it doesn't show it to anyone, right? And so it's like, you want to teach the algorithm what it is that you like. I mean, it's like the same thing, like if you go on Netflix, Netflix is going to show you other content that it thinks you're going to like based on what you just watched, right? And so if you watch the same type of content over and over and over on Netflix, Netflix is like, oh, we know you watch this, you're probably going to like this too, right? And so that's what the algorithm does on Instagram, especially on Instagram, TikTok, a little bit on Facebook, right? And so it's like, oh, we know that you like, talking, we know you like stuff with confidence. Here's another person who talks about confidence. Let me pop her stuff onto your feed. Right. And so that's kind of how, when you really are consistent with your brand and your messaging, it really helps the algorithm start to work for you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yay! Good. Do you have any other questions or anything?
No, this has been really helpful.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Yay. All right. Well, you guys have me in the chat. Feel free to pop anything in there that you need. If you want me to check on like content, or you have any questions or want feedback or anything, that chat is there for you guys to use. And so put it to work. Don't be shy or feel like you're, a bother or anything like that. Pop in there and share all the things. So I'll upload this and I'll put it on YouTube, and I'll send you guys the link so that way you can come back and listen to it again if you want to. And you guys will have a lifetime access to it. All right. Yay. Thanks so much for hopping on. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.